Hi folks, today I'm taking a look at the nominees for Best Costume Design, and I must confess I'm faced with the same problem that vexed me so much in trying to predict Best Art Direction. I've narrowed the field down to two possible winners, each one representing a different school of thought on how the Academy votes on the craft categories. The first of those two possible winners is Colleen Atwood for Alice in Wonderland. If you watch my other videos, you already know that I personally think the film is a bit of a mess, but there's no denying Atwood's talent as a costume designer. She's already won 2 Oscars, and this is her 9th career nomination. What this nominee has going for it is that the winners in this category for the past several years seem to indicate that the Academy votes for the most noticeable costume design, and Atwood's colorful costumes are nothing if not noticeable. What the film has going against it, however, is that it's not nearly as well respected or liked as some of its fellow nominees. Nevertheless, it remains a serious contender for the victory. One of the more surprising and pleasing nominations this year was the unexpected appearance in this category of I Am Love, costumes designed by Antonella Canarossi. The Italian film was very well received by American critics when it was released last summer, but Italy chose not to submit it as their official entry for Best Foreign Language Film, pretty much shutting the door on any chance it had at an Oscar nomination. That is, until the costume designers branch chose to acknowledge it here, and that was an inspired decision. For a contemporary film, it is exquisitely designed in every respect. The costumes are stylish and do a terrific job at defining social status, which is one of the movie's central themes. Unfortunately, contemporary films never win this category, let alone foreign films that relatively few voters have seen, but I am happy for its nomination. Now, the second of those 2 films that I mentioned could possibly win this is The King's Speech, whose costumes were designed by Jenny Beavan. Like her main competition, Colleen Atwood, this is Beavan's 9th career nomination, although she hasn't won since 1987 for A Room with a View. Now, you might think that because the 4 most recent winners of this category have all been period films about European royalty, The King's Speech should have it in the bag. But what we need to notice is that the costumes of The King's Speech are much more austere and decidedly less opulent than the likes of the young Victoria or the Duchess. If the Academy really does only vote for the most noticeable costume design, this actually puts The King's Speech in a weaker position than Alice in Wonderland. But what compels me to think it will win, though, is that it is by far a more beloved film, and there is potential for it to sweep through the craft categories. The 4th nominee is also a woman who is enjoying her 9th career nomination, Sandy Powell for The Tempest. Being based on a Shakespearean play and having been directed by visual experimentalist Julie Taymor, it comes as no surprise that the wardrobe is unique and memorable enough to impress the costume designers into nominating it. However, I would be shocked if it wins, because the simple fact of the matter is, the movie is awful, reviled by critics and audiences alike. Compared to a nominee with the type of exposure and popularity of The King's Speech, I don't see how this one could come out on top. The final nominee, my personal preference by the way, is Mary Zophres for True Grit. The threads she came up with for this film are fantastic. They're period appropriate, detailed, and more importantly, they're highly specific to the characters they clothe, lending us insight into their personalities. Be it Rooster Cogburn's battered old duster, LaBeef's boastful rodeo jacket, or Maddie's ill-fitting coat and hat. I might propose that it's not impossible for True Grit to surprise us by winning this category. It is a well-liked movie after all. But I don't believe a Western has ever won Best Costume Design, and in the presence of more typical potential winners, I don't think it'll happen this year. My prediction is The King's Speech, although I could change my mind to Alice in Wonderland at any time. Join me tomorrow for a listen to the nominees for Best Original Song.